crazy thing is Coach Smith, he was like, ever since that day, he said he always kept an eye on me. Even when I was at Wasatch, when I went to Cincinnati, he always kept his eyes on me because he said he had this vision of me being the point guard for his program.
What's going on today? I'm the host, SchuZ Schumaker, and joining me today is one of the fastest players in the entire country. He was a member of Jon Rothstein's 20 under the radar breakout players for the 2021-2022 season. He's a former four-star recruit according to ESPN's 2020 rankings. He's the newest member of Utah, Saunders Jr. Mike, appreciate you taking time to come on today, man.
Man, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. Well, since the last time you came on here, you've been through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of changes happened. Now you found a new home. You're going out to Salt Lake City now. How's it feel to just be committed and get that out of the way?
We're leaving. it was just so crazy. A lot of schools had my phone. My phone was just hot. It was like whatever I try to do something during the day, I come back to my phone. My phone was just a whole bunch of missed calls, and then they was like calling my dad saying like he not calling us back. And I'm like, bro, I was literally just working out. Like I was just doing my thing, and it was just constantly getting my phone blown up. And yeah, like I said, I'm just happy it's over for real.
We're going to get into a lot more things on this interview, but the first I do want to make sure we get into, though, you obviously have a new look now. You got rid of the hair that you've become pretty famous for throughout high school and even college now. So when did this change now?
This is a new start. I'm finna be 20 this summer, so I just felt like, just cut it off and just start over. But I'm definitely growing it back out. So it'll probably be back by the season. It's gonna be longer than this for sure.
So you're gonna go back and dye it again, or are you gonna keep it the same way, or what do you?
Nah. Just regular hair, no dye, nothing. Just you feel me? Just regular.
Absolutely, man. Well, obviously, as I said, now you're a member of Utah. I know a lot of people want to know your story, get to know you better. So that's why I want to get you on today, because you are a player, in my opinion, that some people might not be talking about as one of the top transfers yet. But similar to like we've seen like Tari Eason, teammate you had last year, you go to a new situation, you have a better role. Obviously, that name could change a lot for yourself. And I do think you have one of the capabilities of doing that. So I want people to get to know you before you have a potential breakout season this upcoming year. You go all the way back. You're originally from Indianapolis, Indiana. What was it like growing up out there?
It was easy. I had both parents in my life. They definitely took care of me, to this point. And everything's just been revolved around basketball. I've been around the country a lot. Like just since I was in second grade, just playing basketball for real. Like it kept me from many other distractions that was out there. And I would definitely say my life was pretty easy for sure. I'm not gonna say I lived in like the greatest part or whatever, nothing like that. It was normal for real. It just basketball. Like that's really what my whole life been about, just hooping.
So were you always just bought into basketball? Was that kind of the sport that your parents put the ball in your hands at a young age and you just kind of went from there? Did you try other sports out, or when did you kind of start playing the game of basketball?
I mean, I started playing basketball when I was like 2 years old. So like that's all I know. I mean, I've tried other sports like soccer, football, track, but basketball was just always my calling card for real. That's all I knew.
Now, when would you say that came that point that you started saying, okay, I know that I want the sport to be the thing I do for as long as I possibly can, rather that be through high school or college or NBA? Like, when did you really buy into the game and say, I want to take this sport seriously now?
I'll say honestly, like I just always took basketball serious. Like I don't know, I just thought basketball was everyone's life. I thought that's what everyone did, so I always took it serious. And yeah, I wouldn't say I had a specific age where I just was like, I'm gonna take it serious. I just always have for real.
I know there's another person that's been in your life as well, George Hill, who I know a lot of people obviously know he's had an incredible NBA career now. What has his role been in your life, and when did he start coming into your life?
I've known George since I was born. That's literally like my big brother. Except for we're not blood related, but he's always been there for me. Whenever I need advice, he's always passing it on to me. And I've always stayed in contact with him. And just to watch how his career went and how long he's been in the NBA, And the fact that guys, it's hard for them to stay in the league, but the fact that he's been in the league for like 14, I think his 14th, 13th year.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, man, he's just like a person I really look up to. He's the reason why I went number 3. And we have a really close relationship. I actually just seen him 2 weeks ago in Milwaukee, and we talked a lot. We caught up on a lot of things, but yeah, that's like my brother for real.
That's got to be huge because, like you said, the thing that's unique about a guy like George Hill is that obviously learning from a guy like LeBron is going to be great. And LeBron is obviously what he is. He's incredible, but not too many people can relate to him as a player. Someone like George Hill, he's worked to get to where he's at today. He didn't go to a school like a Duke or Kansas, something like that. He went to IU.
Right.
He had he's someone that honestly anyone could technically be in terms of he's not the tallest person in the world. He's not the fastest. He's not the strongest guy, but he's lasted now for a long time. He was a critical piece to a starting lineup of championship type teams. He's now become a guy that's just last in the league. Like that's someone that would be huge to learn from anybody. So when you look at just the things he's taught you, what would you say has maybe been the biggest thing or the biggest lesson or advice he's given you throughout your life?
I think it would be to be coachable, like meaning not only on basketball court, but just off the court as well. Like never feeling like you can't take advice, and whenever, someone wants to pass on knowledge that I feel like is going to help me be the best player or person I can be, then I'm always willing to listen. Like I've never been a person that, feels like I know everything or I'm hard-headed or anything like that, because he's always been a guy that took advice and it's worked for him. So that's something that I took from what he told me.
I have to imagine that you guys have worked out before to some extent, maybe even played a game of one-on-one before. If so, how'd that one-on-one game go?
I've never beat him. But the thing is, I haven't played him since I was in like 5th grade. So it's been a while. And I actually haven't even scored on him yet. Like it's crazy. But I told him, like, we play now, I'm definitely getting a bucket. Now I don't know if I'm gonna beat him. That's the only person I don't know if I really could beat yet, but I definitely can score on him now. There's no question I can score on him. And I just know the older I'm gonna get and the older he gonna get, he already said he's gonna stop playing me. He's not even gonna try to play me no more. So yeah, we gotta run that back soon for sure.
As I mentioned, we're going to get through your story and all, but you have been through a lot of ups and downs, especially the past 2 or 3 years. You've been through a lot of change and stuff going on. How big has he been, or has he had much of an impact in terms of just giving you advice? He's obviously been through stuff throughout his NBA career and college career too. How big has he been in kind of helping you get through all these ups and downs you've been through the past couple of years?
Yeah, so of course, like I said, we was in contact a lot, and the one thing he told me was just to control what I can control, and that's what I do on the court, regardless of what's going on off the court or how people view me. Just control what you can control on the court. Like go out there and play like Mike Saunders. Like don't try to be nobody else, and just keep that same mindset. Don't get rattled. Don't get frustrated with how things are going, because I've always been a resilient guy. Like I always got through stuff. So that's definitely something that he told me to do is don't try to like get so caught up in figuring out why your situation is the way it is. Just literally control what you can control, and then everything will just work out for itself. And it definitely did. It definitely has for sure.
Growing up in Indiana, that's a state that is pretty under the radar in terms of basketball. Like, does it have necessarily the depth of a California, or New York, or Texas? Probably not, but there is a lot of talent still there. It's really got a strong basketball culture out there. So what was it like growing up in that environment?
Everybody just loved the hoop, and that really influenced me, because Indiana, I'm not gonna lie, it's very underrated. I mean, if you look at all the pros that came out of Indiana, I mean, there's a lot of pros from Indiana right now, specifically the Indianapolis area. So I think that motivated me to, be the next one to come out of Indy. So I feel like growing up in this environment, it's really made me who I am, and it's really made me, be dedicated and want to be great. Like not just be a guy that just play basketball. Like I want to be one of those guys that people look up to and people say, "Oh, he's another one of them guys from Indy that made it out." So it definitely influenced me a lot.
Let's hop into your high school career because you start off at Lawrence North until you end up going out to West Edge Academy. But if someone would have came and told you before you played your freshman season out that you were going to become a guy that had Division I offers. Now, were you obviously the top ranked guy? Some guys might have probably wanted to, or probably should have been higher as well. Not necessarily, but you still had tons of offers. You were able to get your school paid for. Was that something that you saw in your future? Did you expect that to be the case for yourself in 4 years from the time you started playing high school basketball?
Honestly, I've kind of always had this vision.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like I have this vision for myself, and it's crazy like how things are like how they pan out for real. And life's unpredictable, so you it don't really go exactly how you think it would go.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely saw myself, getting offers, being recruited, and being a D1 basketball player, and the fact that I already checked that off my list is a blessing. And yeah, I definitely say that I've seen this coming for myself for sure. And I know if I can just keep that same vision, it's all going to work out. Like, you just got to have that self belief, and I have the utmost confidence in myself to achieve whatever I want to do. So, yeah, I definitely would say I saw this coming.
When would you say it clicked for you and you started saying, okay, I know for a fact that I'm a college player. I know that I can play Division I, whatever school it's going to be. I know I'm going to be playing at that next level after I finish my high school career. When did that point kind of come for you?
When I went to Wasatch, because like the level of comp I was playing at that time, it gave me so much confidence because I was really out there playing on a national schedule and going against the top guys that people were saying, were the top guys. And that really just gave me the confidence to this day to just be like, man, I proved that I can play at this level. Like I played against guys in the league right now, so I feel like with the right opportunity, I can be just like them. I just got to keep pushing, just got to keep getting better, and just got to put myself in the best situation to where I can reach that. And yeah, so I'll definitely say Wasatch for sure, for sure.
You start off your career at Lawrence North High. Why was it the school you wanted to kick off your high school career at?
Because my pops was already there. He was a assistant coach there, and two of the players there, Kevin Easley and Antoine Cushenberry, they were a part of our AAU program. So I
Mm-hmm.
already knew them. And like I said, since my dad was on the staff, it was a no-brainer, honestly.
How big was that to also have someone in your own circle, your own life, day-to-day life that knew the game of basketball, could help you, and also was your coach at the same time? How big was that for you as a player in terms of your development too?
Oh, it definitely helped me a lot because my dad, he always kept me accountable. Even if I was playing good, he always told me to, don't get satisfied because you can always be better. And then when I wasn't playing good, he was the hardest person on me. So that definitely, made me super resilient. Like if my dad was on me hard, no one else can be harder than my dad, So I feel like that helped me a lot, my dad being around like that.
What would you say would be your favorite memory that you created with your dad on the basketball court?
When we won
Mm-hmm.
seventh grade nationals, because since like second grade, we was literally finishing either second or third. Like second grade, we was second. Third grade, we was third. Fourth grade, we was second. Fifth grade, we were finished third. And then sixth grade, we lost first round to Jalen Suggs. He had a game winner against us. But then we that last time we went to nationals, seventh grade, it was in Greensboro, North Carolina. We finally won. We finally won it, and that was one of the greatest feelings ever, being with my dad. And we was always right there, and the fact that we finally got over that hurdle, it was an amazing feeling.
Now, you just mentioned that you also were playing Jalen Suggs earlier on in your life too, and I know there's a lot of mixed
Yeah.
stuff that you guys have been playing each other for a long time because you even blew up at a few different big games on the UAA circuit too, playing against him in high school. Walk us through this your guys' battles because you guys had to play each other. I don't know how many times, like at least 10, 15 times throughout your guys' career. What was it like going up against him?
The first time I played Jalen was, I say, fourth grade, fourth grade, and Jalen was even tough then. He was just always just a bigger guard that can do everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I got the utmost respect for him. That's like my brother. and it's always been good battles when we played each other. He's he's an NBA player now, and I never doubted he was going to be one. Just like I said, from playing him for so long and seeing how much better he got throughout the years, it definitely was good battles for sure. And I'm just so happy for him. I actually talked to him like 2 days ago. Like we stay in contact. Like that's my guy. And yeah, I hope I can play him, in the NBA for sure.
If you could remember back and pick one matchup you guys had before, which one was your favorite game that you played Jalen in?
My favorite matchup. Mm, that's a good question. Uh, I played him so many times. It's like it's hard to even like think of like my favorite matchup. I'll probably have to say our last one. The last time I played him, it was on the UA circuit,
Mm-hmm.
and we only lost by 3. And it was a good game. We was going back and forth. You actually, people actually go on YouTube and go ahead and watch that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'll probably say our last matchup.
Well, let's go into that freshman season because you mentioned a few different guys, but you were playing alongside a lot of guys that are in the college game today. Guys like Kevin was there, DJ came in your sophomore season when he was a freshman, then a few of the different big time players as well. So, what was it like going in as a freshman, having expectations to be successful right away, knowing that there are other guys that are talented too? What was that like, just your freshman season of high school?
Man, this is a long time. This feel like a long time ago now. Honestly, when I came into high school, I really didn't like set any crazy expectations on myself. Like I just wanted to really enjoy the high school experience.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that I was on varsity and starting varsity at the time, like nobody was even doing that in Indy at the time. And I didn't really realize the impact of that until like, people talked to me over the years and was like, you was the freshman starting on varsity and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah. I don't know. I just think it showed to the hard work I put in and how good I was at the time. But I wouldn't really say I had expectations on myself. I just kind of came in high school and I really was just happy to be hooping. Like I just always looked at basketball as being fun, you know. So I say that.
To have a guy like Kevin that was experienced, was a Division I recruit, already senior, I believe junior at first time, then senior when you were a sophomore. To have him as an upperclassman that was kind of living the life that you wanted to live in a couple of years as a Division I recruit, committed, all that type of stuff. How big was he in your career?
To be honest, he's actually a major part because my dad, he was big. He was a big part of his recruiting process. We was visiting so many schools. I remember like the Xavier visit. I
Mm-hmm.
remember we went to like Michigan State. I remember we went to like Ohio State, and that was when I was in like middle school when he was doing all that. And I remember just going to them schools and just seeing like the gyms and seeing all the like awards and stuff like that, and it really inspired me for sure. And Kevin, he was a hell of a player, especially coming up through middle school and the high school. So I didn't really realize the impact it had on me until I got older and was starting to go through that same process he went through. And yeah, now Kevin definitely played an impact for sure.
Your sophomore season, then you guys go 18-7. You average 10 points a game, 5 assists. You guys also added DJ then, who was a freshman. What was that sophomore year like of high school for yourself?
Sophomore year, um, I would say that was actually a pretty tough year for me because I was actually kind of going through a transition period with my game.
Hmm.
So like in middle school, well, like even elementary school, like I was known as a 3-point shooter. Like all I shot was just threes, threes, threes. And then my sophomore year, I started to become like more of a driver.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was starting to really realize how fast I was, and
Mm-hmm.
I was getting to the rim a lot. But I kind of stopped shooting threes, like to a point where I couldn't even shoot. To be honest, I couldn't shoot no more, and I feel like it really started to affect me because I started letting people get in my head like he can't shoot. So the sophomore year, I feel like that was a tough transition period for me. And then my dad, he was ultra hard on me at that time because he felt like I wasn't necessarily, not saying I wasn't getting better, but it kind of felt like I was kind of staying stagnant with my game. And but besides that, I actually had like a couple of big games that year. I had a career high 21 against Warren, who was undefeated that year and ended up winning state that year. And so I had my moments, but so sophomore year it was definitely I feel like my first feeling of like adversity for real with
Mhm.
my game and feeling like, man, I need to get better. I need to figure out what I got to do to, you know, get back on track. Make sure that my game is like complete, And but honestly, realizing how fast I was and how I can utilize my speed has helped me to this point because the fact that I was getting stronger though and getting to the rim and doing all that, it made me, I feel like it made me better for sure.
You kind of lead me right into what I wanted to make sure we get into in this interview, because what your signature thing is your speed. We know that you're fast, and there's obviously not necessarily a competition where we see who's the fastest guy out there in college, but all I know is that you're for sure in that top group. Whoever else is in that mix, you'd be in that elite group right there because you have a speed that is God gifted. Not many people have. So take us to that speed. When did you really start realizing you're that fast? Was it almost your whole life? Did it take time until your sophomore year? Or when did you start realizing you had that speed?
Yeah, so like I said, sophomore year, I started to realize how fast I really was and how much of an impact it can be. But bring it back to the Wasatch point. Wasatch was really was the time that I figured out like my speed is game changing. And I think that to my coach, Coach Evans, because he really challenged me to use it not only on offense but on the defensive end, and that just made me a totally different player because I just felt like no one could stay in front of me. And on defense, I just felt like no one could get by me. And then you start hearing all the all the coaches talk about me, the analysts just talk about my speed. Like they were saying I had pro level speed, like NBA speed as a junior in high school. So that's when I really started to realize like, man, my speed is really my ticket to being an NBA player. So I would say probably my junior year when I went to Wasatch.
So growing up, when you just ran lines or suicides, whatever role it was during your middle school year as freshman, were you always one of the first guys? Like, were you always fast, or that just all of a
Yeah,
sudden one
yeah,
day you
yeah. I
became
always, I
fast?
always, yeah, I've always been fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I I don't know, I don't know. Like, I mean, I've done training, agility stuff like that. I just feel like I was always just naturally fast. Yeah, I don't know. I've always been fast. You can ask anybody that knows me. I've always been known as just a guy that just always runs. It's just fast, like, and it just transitioned to the basketball court. So yeah.
Obviously, you're doing great on the court, but did you ever consider going on the track and just testing out a little bit, trying to go to do 1 year track and field or something to test it out?
Yeah, I ran track seventh and eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I ran track. I ran the 100 meter, 200 meter, 110 meter hurdle, and a 4x1 relay. Yeah, that was the only time I ran track though.
Did you ever consider doing it any time throughout high school then?
Nah, nah, nah. When I got to high school, it was just strictly basketball at that point.
Then you decide after the year that you decide to move on, say, okay, as other opportunities, I want to go play at a prep level. That's what such academy end up going out to. Take us to that thought process though, because that is something that I'm pretty high on guys doing at least 1 year of playing at that national level, playing against other guys that are pretty much Division I players every day at practice, and you're going to go up against guys at Division I caliber. But what led to that decision for you? Like, why did you decide to go out there to Wasatch Academy?
I decided to go there because, like I said, just the national attention it would bring to me, playing on that level and playing against guys that were recognized as one of the best. So I just felt like there was no reason for me to stay in Indy any longer. I mean, I feel like I made enough of an impact, to where almost, almost everybody around the city like knew my name and stuff like that. So, talking to my dad, talking to George, and talking to Coach Evans, I just felt like it was best for me to, go seek something different, go change my surroundings, and really humble myself and see that you're not really as good as you thought you were, because
Mhm.
there's guys out there that are just they're tough. Like it was just so crazy just playing against the people that I played against and really holding my own though. Like, I wasn't. I mean, that came from AAU too. Just I played it all the top guys at AAU too. So it was really just getting out of Indy, making me grow up more too. Being away from my family, like, and making me be more independent. So not only was it for basketball, but just for my life in general, just to be able to, like I said, be independent at 16 and really figure out things on my own, and that's helped me to this day.
We'll get into the whole recruiting process in a second, but at that point in time, so the summer, fallish time period between your AU season and your sophomore year, where were you in terms of offers and recruiting? Like, what schools were you in contact with? Did you have many offers heading into your junior year at Wasatch, or where were you in the recruiting aspect at that point in time?
It was all just small D1s for real, mid
Mm-hmm.
majors, nothing crazy, and I wouldn't. I mean, I kind of said I play a role, but it wasn't really about the offers for real when I made the decision. I kind of felt like making that move, the offers and the bigger school attention was going to come
Mm-hmm.
because of the belief I had in myself. So yeah, the recruiting then it was okay. They're all D1 schools, so I'm not even acting ungrateful or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was nothing too crazy.
Now we talked about some guys that were Division One caliber on your last roster. You go out here now, and the whole roster is Division One now. Though you got Trey out there, you have Tristan, Caleb, Fusini, who's obviously doing great out
Yeah.
there at BYU right now. You got Monty, who's also doing his thing at Michigan State. What was that team like when you go out there your first year and you see guys that top to bottom are a year older than you, the same age, guys like Jax, who was a couple years younger than you, all guys that are Division One players or soon will become Division One guys. What was that first couple of days or weeks even like at Wasatch?
I was I was gonna die going out there, just training, and how hot the elevation was in Utah. It was just it was just crazy because like my chest was burning. Like I just just was not used to the elevation out there, and then just trying to play with them, they were just a lot better than me at the time, and and I honestly feel like I had to fit in faster than I thought, because Coach Evans, he made it clear that I was going to be the point guard of the team because he had that belief in me. So as soon as I felt that, I just was like, man, I just got to work 10 times harder. I got to match what these guys are already built to be, because they was already there at Wasatch, so they already was acclimated, and I was just trying to really fit in, but it didn't take me too long to where I got to that point where I'm like, okay, I can play with these guys. And once that happened, it was all she wrote for real. Like he gave me the reins from day one, and I just took him and ran with it.
When would you say you started feeling comfortable? At what point was it during training camp, a little bit into the season, or when did you start feeling comfortable and feeling like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I truly feel like I'm myself now. I'm reaching my potential. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do right now. When did you feel kind of sunk in and you kind of felt that you were comfortable now in that system?
Mm, um, I would say, like kind of towards the middle of the season, we had a tournament in Utah, and we played Santa Margarita out of California. We played a team called Richland from Washington instead of Washington. And I played really well in that tournament. And that's when I kind of was like, okay, I'm finna turn that corner. And I mean, if you go back, you can I think you can find the highlights of them games. And yeah, I really just turned the corner then. And yeah, so I would say that point for sure. It was just some just changed, some just clicked. Like the confidence in my game just grew so much, and it just carried over into the rest of that season for sure.
I want you to take us through the practices because obviously there's some good guards there, but when you look at the big men, they're obviously were spread out in age. Guys from Jackson, who now is one of the top players in the country going to Michigan State, but he was obviously just a freshman at that point. All of a guy like Damati, who obviously was a senior, top 50 ranked recruit. Guy like Foose, who still was developing into who he's become now. Caleb, who was a little bit more stronger, a little bit more developed than maybe Foose was at that point in time. But just what was that practice environment like? When you look at the names of this list of the big men, what were those battles like just watching those guys go at each day?
It was like a war because they were just all like good, and they all brought a different aspect. You know, Marty was just super athletic, just block any shots you can. Like anytime he came in the paint, like you're gonna have to shoot a floater, or you're gonna have to do something because you can't just go up on him. Like he was just throwing everything, and he was such a lob threat. Like you just throw it at the rim, he'll go get it. Foolish, he was just a big body, big. Like he was just then unguardable in the post. Like his footwork, the way he just moved guys, the way he just he was a great rebounder, same as Marty. And then Jackson, you talking about a guy that his footwork is just unreal. Like, and he said he watches a lot of Hakeem Olajuwon, and you can see that when he plays. Like his mid range game was crazy. Like, and then he could step out, hit the 3 too, and that's when he was a freshman. So you can see how like how his trajectory. You know how far he came to this point. You can already see that then like he was gonna be good. And then Caleb, Caleb, man. Caleb talking about a 6'8", what I'll say like 220, 225, 230, just 3-level scorer, just athletic. He just got buckets. Like I remember watching Caleb's highlights when he was in Texas, and he just looked unguardable. Man, that's how he looked in practice. He just, like I said, he just did everything. You know, he blocked shots. He was mobile. Like Caleb, he was tough. Like Caleb's super tough, super tough. So yeah, them practices they used to get real. You feel me? Like they used to be wars, like I said.
Now, I want you to kind of walk us through that entire season. I know you kind of touched upon a few different points throughout that year, but you go through that entire junior season. You guys go 26-4 as a team. You have a pretty great year overall, almost 12 points a game, 4 assists, 2 steals a game. What was that first year at Wasatch like for yourself?
Like I said, it just gave me so much confidence because when we we ended up being the fifth seed that year. You know, our main goal was to get to that Geico tournament, and we achieved that goal. And it was the fifth seed, and first round matchup was Oak Hill, Cole Anthony, Kofi Cockburn, Cam Thomas, that team. And mind you, Cole Anthony was the #1 point guard in high school at that time.
Yep.
And I just remember that game so vividly. Like I just remember just leading up to it, how excited I was, how I really looked at it as an opportunity to just really put my name on the map. And that's what Wasatch really was for real that year, was it just really put my name on the map. You know, we went to the Montverde Invitational. We played in big tournament in Virginia. We played in Cali. We played in Vegas. I had a game winner in Vegas. Like just like my junior year, it was just amazing. I just really felt like it made me feel like I can play at any level. It made me feel like I can be that guy, you know. And that first year, it was. I wish I could just go back and just relive it for real. It was so cool, and that's why I really went back, because I knew not only did I prove myself the first year, I just knew that I was gonna make another step my senior year. So.
Now, around this time, you also go through the recruiting process, commit to Cincinnati and stuff before you go into senior season throughout that point. We'll get into that in a second, but I just want to go through, talk about the senior season then, because you guys go 27-2. You grow into an even more player where you're averaging 14.5 points a game, 3.6 assists, 2 steals a game. You become one of the top guys on one of the top teams in the entire country, as would have been #2 seed had Geico occurred. What was that senior year like, and how were you preparing for that? What were you expecting to have that big of a jump? Did you think you could play at that level that senior year, or what led to that big breakout season for yourself that final year of high school?
So that summer, I just worked so hard. Because I knew when I'm locked in and I'm working, I know I get better. Like I've always gotten better when I do that, and that's what I really did. I just emphasized being in the gym so much that summer, and you know, it paid off. We ended up being I would say honestly, we were number one because the number one team, Montverde. I mean, you're talking about a team that's being compared to Chino Hills, and people are trying to figure out which team is the best team in high school history. You know, so it's just like, I mean, it's just like I feel like they had it. You know, they were just pro. You talking about just pros and type of pros, and so. But regardless of that, I feel like our team was just so different that year, and I just knew what my role was. You know, like I said, Coach Dave, he believed me from day one. So, you know, going to my senior year, you know, nothing else was going to change, except that I knew my game was going to change. You know, and Coach Dave allowed me to have that freedom, to just be me, and that's what um, led to me having such a big year. And what I said to this day, probably my best year as a basketball player was my senior year at Wasatch, because I just showed so much. I just showed so much. Like my level of play just was different. Like I started finally dunking in games. My
Mhm.
defense was just out of this world. Like I was just ripping people left and right. And then offensively, I mean, I shot like 56%, 56 or 58 from the field. I shot the best from three in my career. I shot 40% from three. I shot like 80 or 79% of free throw line. Like my whole game was just complete my senior year. And that's because of just how much I locked in and how much belief I had in myself. So yeah, that senior year was special. That team was special. That run was special. Yeah, that everything about that year was just, man, crazy. Just crazy.
Now, for those who do not know, that Montverde team that you're talking about is a team that featured Kate Cunningham, Deron Sharp, Mose Moody. I believe Dariq Whitehead was on the bench too that year. Like that list of that team was insane. If
Yeah, like
if Geico would happen to happen though, and you guys would have matched up potentially, had you guys won all the way through to the championship, how do you think that game would have went?
it would have been a tough one. I'm not gonna lie. It was we would, hey, I'm not gonna say we would have lost, but I just I have belief in my guys, you know, like I feel like we would have to have a perfect game to beat them, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, because they were just their talent level was just unreal from top to bottom. It was just unreal. And but I feel like our best shot, I feel like we could have got them,
Mm-hmm.
but we would have had about our best shot though. We couldn't just come out there and play scared. We would have came out there playing scared. Yeah, it would have been over from the tip. But I don't feel like that would have happened. I feel like we would have been so locked in, and we would have known like, hey, we can't relax this game, not 1 second. So I think that game would have been a war, absolute war.
So when you look at everyone that would have been on that roster, what guy would you want to match up on?
I probably would have guarded Cade.
Mm-hmm.
I would have guarded Cade. And I feel like I would have held my own against Cade because even though he was such a bigger guard, I can guard bigger guards because the way I play defense and how I get under guys. So I feel like I would have rattled. I feel like I would have rattled him a bit, like speed him up because he likes to play his own pace.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if I would have, pressured him and got under him the whole game, I feel like I like my chances. I like my chances for sure. But if he was comfortable playing like how he plays, it would have been tough. It would have been a tough matchup. But I was looking forward to that matchup, honestly, because what wasn't he like? He was like the number one point guard in our class at the time. So I would have looked at it as a chance to yet again put put my name out there.
Now, you guys also had another guy that came onto that team on top of some of the guys that returned from the guys we talked about earlier. Pop Isaacs obviously came into that group, another top level point guard who's now going to be heading out to Texas Tech next year. What was it like adding him in there? Because you guys formed a pretty solid backcourt together. What was it like playing alongside him?
It's my dog, man. Pop, man. Pop. I mean, he was nice, man. Pop is so nice, and it's kind of crazy. So when Pop first got the Wasatch, we didn't even like talk because I mean I didn't know him and he didn't know me, so it was just like I don't know, like we didn't know each other, so we kind of went our separate ways for a little bit, and all of a sudden we just started talking, and then we just literally became brothers. Like Pop, like that's literally my brother for real, and like we talk about it all the time. Like me and him, we were just unguardable. Like you had to pick your poison. Like if you try to stop me, okay, try to stop Pop. Like you couldn't stop both of us. And there'd be games where me and him would both just be killing. And what he brought was just his shooting. Like Pop, man, talking about off the catch, off the dribble. He just gets buckets. Like Pop just gets buckets. But Pop is also a point guard too, so he knew how to make the right play. And if he saw I was going, he would give me the ball, and I would get going. And we was a dynamic duo for sure. Like we was just tough. We was just super tough. We got into guys defensively as well that year, and that's what I think. Me and him, the level we played at, that was the big reason why we were so successful that year. So yeah, Pop. The addition of Pop, that was major for our team.
This is a little bit of foreshadowing, but you spent obviously 2 years out there at Wasatch in Utah. Obviously, that's where you're going to be heading back to now. What about that state won you over? Like, what about that state did you start kind of falling in love with where now you can go back and say, I'm excited to come out here and live in Utah again now?
The people there. They're very passionate of basketball. And I don't think people know that. My view of Utah before I even went out there was, I didn't have one. I didn't know. It's just Utah. Like who would want to be in Utah, but until I started actually living there, and then when we started playing like the high schools there, and especially when we started to like play road games in like the upper, it was called up north because Mount Pleasant was where Wasatch was. It was considered down south from like Salt Lake City. So we would go up north to play games, and I'm talking about packed crowds. They were just loud. They were just, like I said, super passionate about basketball. And I got mad love and respect for Utah because they always appreciated me, and they always showed me that love and appreciation. And that's why that played a big role in the reason why I came back to Utah was because just the people there, they're so nice. Like they really love basketball. And I'm a guy that loves basketball as well. So I just feel like we were a perfect match.
Now, you also had another opportunity throughout high school, and that was to be a part of the Steph Curry Select Camp. That obviously is a camp that we look back at some of the names that was on that group. A lot of high-level guys that at that point, some were well-noted. Chet Holmgren, people knew who he was. Jalen Suggs, people knew who he was. But guys like yourself, Eddie Lampkin, a lot of guys that not too many people knew at the national stage yet compared to like those 5 stars or whatever that now we see in college have developed into great players. What was it like going to that camp, though, and just being around those other top guys, being around Steph Curry? Take us that experience.
Very humbling for sure, because yet again, it was just another opportunity to see how good guys were, and then me not only holding my own, but actually being one of the top guys in that camp. We had like a one-on-one event, and I was top. I made it to the final round. It was me, RJ Davis, McCord Maker, and Earl Timberlake. Like, though it was the one-on-one thing, and I just feel like it showed, my game. Like the Curry camp really put my game on notice, and it showed people like, man, this kid, he just keeps getting better. And that whole experience was just amazing. Just being able to meet Steph, be able to talk to, so many different people, so many different players at that camp, and just even on the women's side, we had Paige Buckers, AZ Fudd, forgot some of the other names, but it was just so much talent. Like it just made you be even more locked in, and that whole experience was amazing. Just being in Oakland, we went to this park where Curry set up this like event where all the like underprivileged kids in Oakland came to, and it was like a event he hosted, and just be able to meet those kids and be able to talk to them. It inspired me to, have my own camp one day. Like that whole Curry experience was just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What player would you say shocked you the most there? Obviously, a lot of guys might probably say your name in that group, but for yourself, when you look back, I mean, you knew guys like Chet or whatever was who they were, but was there anyone at that camp that kind of shocked you and you walked away saying, okay, I didn't really know who he was, but he shocked me a lot in terms of how talented he was?
Zeb Jackson.
Mm.
Zeb. And the thing about Zeb though, I played Zeb in AAU coming up, and I always beat Zeb. As Zeb, he ain't never beat me, but Zeb at that camp, he just looked different. Like he was just the way he was just scoring, like he was scoring on all three levels. And when he went against Curry, and he made a move on Curry, hit him with a hezzy, and like Zeb really showed like he was different. I
Mm.
always knew Zeb was good, but Zeb like really made me realize like, damn, he's tough. Like he's super tough. So I would say Zeb. That's my guy. Me and Zeb, we still talk to this day too. So yeah.
Now, I do want to backtrack. Now we're going to get into the recruiting process for yourself. And obviously, you got more and more offers from that point from when you did originally got to Wasatch. Then you have your breakout season senior year, and all those offers keep coming on the table for yourself. But kind of take us to that process. Like, who really was in the heavy mix for you? I know schools like you got offered from like VCU. I know DePaul was in the mix. Georgia State, Cincinnati obviously was there as well. But who really did that recruiting process come down to for yourself?
I mean, honestly, if I'm keeping it real, I've never been a guy that kind of like had a list of kind
Mm-hmm.
of schools that schools that I was gonna make a decision on. I've kind of always been a guy that was big on a relationship, and at the time, uh, like, I don't even want to say his name, but Coach Brannen, he was at Northern Kentucky, and he was the head coach there, and we had a really good relationship leading up to that point. And my dad, he's also a big relationship as well. So, um, when we was coming down to making the decision on going to a school, when he ended up getting a Cincinnati job, that was a step up from Northern Kentucky. I just felt like Northern Kentucky was a little too small for me at the time. But when he got the Cincinnati job, he still kept his word on me being the point guard, and how much belief he had in me as a player and stuff like that. And I ended up making that decision to go to Cincinnati, which I looking back on it now, when I should have went there. I should have went there because he ended up not being what he said. Sadly, but yeah, it was really about relationship for me. So it kind of just a feeling to me. It wasn't like, okay, we got this list of schools left. I just went off relationship. And at the time I had the best relationship with him, I thought. So yes, that's why I ended up going to Cincinnati.
Had Cincinnati not been on the table for yourself, what school do you think you might have ended up at?
That's a good question. Uh I honestly do not know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I kind of just felt like Cincinnati was the one. I didn't have no like plan. I didn't have no like second option. Like another school was like kind of just close. Cincinnati was kind of just it just stood out to me the most. I don't really know what other school I would have went to be honest, because I can't really even think about what schools I was really liking at the time too. Like I don't know, my memory's not that good. I just I just feel like yeah, Cincinnati was it just was the best fit for me.
Now, at the same time, rankings are something that I've always been a big advocate saying I'm not big on them. They're obviously are what they are, put them out there. But we see for a lot of guys, and I can imagine too, being a high school athlete, you always see the flash stars, you see the McDonald's All American stuff, you see all that stuff, and you do want that to a certain extent. But for yourself, you were ranked a 4-star on ESPN. You didn't actually get a ranking by number. Then you go on 24/7, I believe, had you at 240 or something right around there.
Yeah.
Did that ever get to you, or how did you take in the fact that you weren't ranked as we're probably where you thought you should have been ranked at least? Did that ever get to you, and how did you deal with that?
Um, I think the first time my ranking kind of got to me was when I cracked the top 100 and I was like 96.
Mm-hmm.
That was my what junior year. That was after the Geico game against Oak Hill, and that really made me realize like they're seeing you, bro. Like they're starting to recognize your talent. So that just made me just keep going. But honestly, I never really looked into rankings because I mean, you just look at the guys in the NBA and you look at the All Stars. I mean, you look at like a Pascal Siakam.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like the Raptors, like Fred VanVleet, like NBA champions, was not ranked at all. Like there's so many guys that are in the NBA that weren't ranked or were known as the heralded top, you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
5 stars, anything like that. Because at the end of the day, none of it like honestly matters. Like none
Yep.
of it matters. It's all opinionated answers from people.
Yep.
Like that's literally all it is. Because those people are not getting you to the NBA, you know? Like you're getting to the NBA because of your talent and how good you are. You
Hmm.
know, it's not about your ranking. And honestly, I'm glad that I was so underrated because I feel like the higher you are, the more attention you have. And I feel like you just when you're known as such a, you know, like you're known as a 5 star, you're known as a medallic American, these expectations on you are you're supposed to be an NBA player, you're supposed to be a lottery pick, you're supposed to be this and that. And when that doesn't happen, I feel like it just completely destroys people mentally.
Yep.
And I mean, you just look at some players that were just ranked so high, but didn't pan out, you know. And I feel like that. I think a lot of it had to do with them being ranked so high and having them expectations put on them. So honestly, I just tell people all the time, like, bro, you cannot look at rankings because rankings doesn't dictate where you're gonna be in the end goal, you know. And I just always felt like, regardless of where I'm ranked, I believe in myself, and I know that if I stay on a path that I know is going to help me get to where I want to go, that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. Like rankings, people say rankings don't matter, but they still let it affect them. Like you really got to look at it and look at the history of rankings and literally look. If you're trying to be an NBA player, look at the guys, look at their rankings, look where they're at, and see where they at now. Like you think they cared where they were ranked? Like no, it doesn't change anything. They're just opinions of how good you are at that time.
Hmm.
That's it. It's temporary, you know. So that's how I look at it for real.
Now, similar to what you and I are doing right now, obviously, I've interviewed a lot of guys when they're in high school after they commit or whatever it is, and then do them in college. And a lot of guys, when they do finally get to college, they basically say the same thing you basically said. Okay, at the end of the day, shoot, it doesn't matter at all. Would
Right.
you say that in high school, you still thought that same way? Was that your mindset, or did that start really setting in for yourself as you moved on from high school, or maybe even later on in your high school career or early college career for yourself?
That's always been my mindset
Mm-hmm.
because every step is a restart. Like okay, you're good in middle school. Now you go to high school.
Yeah.
You know that's a different change. Okay, you're good at high school. Now you go to college, and now college that's really the time where a lot of guys face adversity, like myself, because you start to feel like coach don't believe in you. You start to see other guys that you feel like was better. You feel like you was better then, but the fact that they're getting a opportunity to play and be shown, now they're starting to be looked at as better than you. And it's kind of like, what? Like I know I'm better than him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's literally because they have an opportunity to show that, you know. So and then okay, you're good in college. Now you go into the NBA where you just always making your name. You always gotta remake your name. You know, you always gotta like almost yeah, like you just gotta reprove yourself. Like you gotta show that you are ready for this level, like every step of the way. So yeah, like that's always been my mindset. It's like every next step, I know I just gotta keep showing who I am because not everybody's gonna know who I am. So I gotta keep showing who I am, you know. And I mean, I don't even care about people's opinions about my game or anything like that because, like I said, I just believe in myself, and self belief is gonna get you far above anything. But every step is a new chapter, a new time to make your name and put a stamp. So yeah, I've always looked at it like that.
Now we go back to where we left off in terms of your high school career, which was leading up to getting ready to go to Geico. And At that point in time, this is when everything's gone pretty crazy and in a way sideways. You've had some good highs, obviously in the mix of it, but a lot of stuff is going on from your life now in the past 2 years since that point in time because you guys had that great season. You guys are the number 2 seed, and then COVID sets in. You guys don't end up getting to go to Geico, and we know how COVID's affected everyone. But a lot of guys look at yourself now as a freshman, and any freshman in the country. You guys had to go into a season where you guys didn't know what was going to happen. A lot of freshmen get out there in June or whatever, start getting acclimated to the team and all this stuff happening. Wasn't necessarily the case for you guys. So how much of an impact did COVID have? And just take us through how you adjusted through COVID leading up to whenever you finally got on campus to Cincinnati.
Bro, it had a major impact.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly feel like my first 2 years of college was like I ain't had a regular college experience at all. And I mean, like the COVID thing, I didn't get to campus until late June. And then when I got to campus, I was in quarantine for I don't even, it felt like weeks for real. And I wasn't even able to even touch a ball. Like we was doing like workouts outside on the football field. And they had me moving from one place to another place and I had to move again. It was just super different, super different. Everything was just like online, Zoom, stuff like that. Like I have yet to have one in-person class in college. Like I haven't even been to one classroom, so like yeah, like going into college, going through that whole COVID process, it was just crazy. Like doing the whole COVID testing, like waking up early, go get COVID tested every day, and just all that. It danger like basketball was almost becoming secondary at that point. It was just more about were you sick or just yeah, it was just crazy. It was just so crazy, and the fact that no one knew how to handle it. Like nobody that's living right now experienced something like this, a whole shutdown, and just all the stuff that came with COVID. It was super like it tested my mental a lot for sure, and it was hard. It was hard, but it definitely it made me super resilient though. So I wouldn't want to change how everything played out.
Now you get on campus and you start getting through whatever you're able to. You get right up to the season though. What did you think was going to happen your freshman year? What were your expectations? Did you think you'd be a starter? Did you think you'd be a bench piece? Like, what were you thinking when you got on campus and you started like really right before the season started?
So I was told I had a sense of okay. Let me backpedal. So I kind of had a sense that I might have started. I probably was gonna start coming to that year, but even if I didn't start, because I'm not even that type of guy that's gonna complain, I just feel like I was gonna have a big impact coming off the bench. And I mean, the reason why I said I started, I feel I was gonna start because I mean I've started everywhere else I went my whole life, like literally my whole life. So coming off the bench, that was completely foreign to me. But I wasn't gonna complain about it. So I mean, my expectations coming into that year, just had the best year of my career. I felt like at Wasatch, and then I come in to Cincy. I thought I was gonna carry over because I felt like I was good enough to play at that level. And that first game, I mean, I played 4 minutes in a 40-minute college game, and I mean, and after that, everything kind of just went downhill. Like my whole expectations I had for myself, being making a freshman team and being an all freshman. I wanted to be a freshman player of the year in a conference. Like I just saw so much in myself and being all that, and it just washed away quickly. Like my role just was not that at all. It wasn't going to be that. So yeah.
Now we're gonna get a little bit into anything that happened throughout the course of the season, but when you were just going through the off season and getting ready for the year, what was coach telling you? Like, was he telling you you're gonna be a starter? Did he kind of say you're gonna have to fight for it? What was he even telling you your role is gonna be? So you kind of thought it would be at least.
I mean, he said in the workouts I was doing good. I was getting better than everyone else on the team. I was just showing so much promise, and he said I should be fine for starting minutes just because of how much I've shown throughout the workouts and stuff like that. And it really boosted my confidence. And the workouts, man, it was super hard. Like sometimes I didn't even feel like it was like basketball related, but I just I just got through them. I just never been a guy that was gonna quit, and it built character. And I mean, what the coach is telling me, I feel like I was gonna have a big role in the team, and it didn't pan out to be that way. What he said didn't pan out to be that way. So yeah.
You just said that you guys were doing a lot of workouts that you didn't even think were basketball related. So what do you kind of mean by that?
Bruh. Man, I don't even know if I'm even like really talking about it for real. It was just, because there's a whole like legal thing going on still with all that. So I don't even know if I'm even allowed to even talk about all that. But a lot of it wasn't even basketball related. It was more. I feel like more. It was more just testing my mental state. Like if I'm able to get through it, am I tough enough? And yeah, it was. I mean, looking back on it now, it was just so unnecessary, so unnecessary. Like I said, I never been a guy to complain. Like I've always, like even kind of when I was feeling like that at the time, I was a freshman, just getting to college. I felt like, I feel like this is the college experience. I knew it was gonna be hard, but I started to see guys that are like seniors and juniors and sophomores, like they've been in college and they're even struggling to get through what we were doing. I'm just like, man, like what? I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, yeah. I mean, I got through the best I could. Literally, like I was like I said, I was a freshman. I didn't know no better. I just whenever he said I was gonna do it, I've always been that type of player. So yeah.
So what would you say was the hardest aspect of your freshman year? Was it the battling of the COVID-19 stuff and everything that came with that from testing and protocols and missing games and all that stuff? Or was it the whole coach situation?
Man, it was everything. Just everything. The whole COVID, like the whole pause. Like I think January, but we played like Daniel didn't play the whole month. I think it was like January start, whole month of January because of COVID, and then just the whole coaching thing. It was just nuts. It was just absolutely nuts. Like I said, like basketball, it wasn't even. That was like probably the first time I felt like basketball wasn't even enjoyable anymore. It was just like I'm just doing it at this point, and it's sad because like I said, I had so much expectations for myself, and going into that year, and it was just crazy how everything transpired throughout that year, and yeah, I would just say everything, just absolutely everything about it was just difficult.
Now, I got to ask you because I know from like a media side and fans and whoever was watching, obviously no one necessarily knew what was going on behind the scenes during the course of that year. And there were a lot of ups and downs we could see in terms of wins and losses. I looked on towards the end of the year, you guys started turning around. You guys made that great run in the conference tournament. What exactly was happening at that point? Did things kind of soothe over a little bit, like kind of calm down, or what allowed that kind of burst in the end of the season all of a sudden to happen for you guys?
I feel like honestly, he started playing the right guys. I feel like when he finally gave me opportunity to play, I feel like we started winning. Not been selfishly, but I've always been a winner, Like I've always won wherever I've been. And when he had to play me because of just the certain guys, opted out of the season because of COVID and all this other stuff, he had to end up playing me. And when that happened, um, I started really showing what I can be. But even then, though, like my game wasn't even to where I wanted to be at. Like all those variables really affected my game that year. Like I didn't shoot the ball well at all from three. I was averaging like 3 points. Like I wasn't doing anything leading up to that point. When I finally had that breakout game against Memphis when I had 19, and I think it was just the opportunity. Like I just at the end of the day, regardless of everything that happened that year, regardless of how I was playing, when I finally felt that there's none, at that point he couldn't take me out. There wasn't nobody he could there was no one he could take. There was nobody he could even put me in. There was nobody he could sub me in. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it was just,
Yeah.
I kind of was just like, man, just hoop. Like, just play basketball. Like, forget everything else. Like, just control what you can control. Just go hoop. And I did that. And that was probably the first time I felt like I could play D1, you know. And I was so thankful that I was able to finish that strong, regardless of everything that was going on, you know. And we had a hell of a run. We ended up making it to the conference championship, which was just, if you would have asked me in January, we was going through the whole COVID hold and all that, if we was going to make to that point, I would have been like, man, you're crazy. Because it was just, everything that was going on was just nuts. But yeah, like I said, regardless of all that, once I finally got opportunity to be myself, even though I wasn't Mike Saunders, like how I know I can really be. Just the fact that the ball was in my hand at that point and I was out there, we started winning, you know. I think we finished the season like 7-3. And then, I mean, yeah, we got beat by Denver 40 in the championship to Houston, who ended up being they made that run in the tournament that year. But wait, weren't they Final 14?
Yeah, Final Four.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they were Final 14. But yeah, like I said, it made me super resilient. Like, it challenged me so much mentally that after that game, I told myself nothing will ever break me. Like, nothing will break me again. I'll never lose the love of basketball like that again. Like, regardless of anything that happens, I'm just keep going. Just keep going, because I just proved to myself that I can get through the worst of times and still come out on top. So, and that's why, I got a tattoo on my arm called, it says relentless. And was all based off that year. Just, I was relentless. Like, regardless of everything that happened, I've got through it. So that year taught me a lot.
Now, obviously, you said it. Obviously, you can't go into all the details too much, but in terms of just the coach and you relationship, because as you talked about, at one point, a year and a half, whatever it was, you kind of trusted him. You had a great connection with him. When did that start to maybe not necessarily go to this complete opposite where you were by the end of the season, but when did you start getting a feeling like, okay, this isn't necessarily feeling right? Was it during the training camp? Was it a little bit of the season? Or when did you start feeling like, okay, this might not be the same coach I thought he was going to be?
Probably the first game. First game. I mean, I understand I was a freshman and we had a lot of talent on that team, but I just felt like there was no way that I should be playing 4 minutes, especially if I was being told I'm damn near a starter for this team, and it kind of was just like, man, he's not about his word. And then that's when our relationship kind of just went different. And honestly, I don't know if even he felt like that, because, coaches, they just coach, and a lot of these coaches, they don't have a relationship with their players. Like, it's literally players and coaches. Yeah. And that's really what it became. And it's crazy because we had such a good relationship leading into me going to Cincinnati. And, we just started talking less, and I kind of felt like he still felt like we had a good relationship, and that I wasn't noticing how much different things were now than what I thought it was going to be. But I just, in the back of my head, I just knew this ain't right. Like, I shouldn't be in this position. Like, I know how good of a player I am, and I shouldn't be in the position I'm in right now. And it really hurt my game, and it just hurt my image for real. It hurt my image for real as a player. And yeah, it was just crazy. I didn't really know the whole business side of basketball. I understand coaches, they're gonna do the best decision for the team and stuff like that. But when you just have someone saying certain things and then doing a whole different thing is just like it really made me hard to like trust people, you know, for sure. And I think too, because I'm not a guy that says anything, like I'm not gonna complain or nothing. Like I you know what I'm saying, I'm just gonna get through it. A lot of people ain't even recognize what I was going through, but I felt it that whole entire year, the whole entire year. I knew what I knew what I was feeling, and I knew that this isn't right for me. This wasn't what me and my parents had envisioned for myself as a college basketball player. So yeah.
No, obviously I say as much as you could go in depth because I know a lot of people were kind of confused. Like I said, you guys was going through the season and we know COVID wasn't a fact, so that obviously caused a lot of issues all over the place. But you guys go through that obviously up and down the season. You guys go on that great run. Then we see half the team, I think almost everyone except for maybe one or two guys, enter the portal. Then obviously he gets let go. Then there's an investigation going on. So obviously this thing keeps coming out on different sides to the world and the media, but you were a part of that team. So what actually was kind of happening in between there? Like when did stuff start happening? When did the team start feeling like this wasn't right? Or what kind of was happening in terms of as far as you could possibly go into it?
I mean, it was just during the course of the year, like just the meetings we was having, just it was just wasn't about basketball no more. It just felt like it was just players versus coach. Like it just wasn't a family thing. It just got so toxic. The environment was so toxic. Like guys weren't even having fun being out there. It was like the guys that was even playing were just like, man, I don't even want to be playing. Like it was just crazy. And it was just like it was just throughout that year. It wasn't it wasn't basketball at that point. It just wasn't. It just was not about basketball. And I just wanted to hoop. I just wanted to have a fair shot as a basketball player. And it just wasn't that. And a lot of guys were just being tested mentally as well, and especially physically too. So like just imagine going so hard in practice and doing everything you can to get on that floor, and you getting just beat up in practice, like physically just getting just we just physically just beating each other up in practice, and and then just not for it to translate into games. Like it was just like I almost got to a point just like, man, I'm doing all this to, I'm trying to do everything he's telling me to do. I'm trying to just be out there, and nothing was changing for me, like nothing. And like I say, even the guys I was playing, they were just drained. Like everyone was just drained for real. And it's just the whole just showing up to practice, showing up to games. Like it just nobody was happy no more. Like it was just bad. It was just bad all around, all around.
So when you guys went on that run, did you guys have an idea that he was going to get let go, that things were going to go sideways? Did it happen after the thing happened, everyone went in the portal? Or when did you guys start getting the feeling like, okay, this is going to come to a conclusion now and we know it's going to be let go?
I mean, we honestly didn't know that. I mean, we honestly felt like he was going to be back. I mean, that's the reason why I left, because if he was the head coach, I wasn't coming back, you know. And the reason why we went on that run was because we just started playing for each other. Like we were just like, man, forget what he's saying. Like we're just gonna play for each other. We're just gonna have each other's back, because as a team, we were close. Because like I said, we went through it. We went through it together. So we just locked in for real, and we just was like, man, let's make something out of this year. No one has any expectations on us. Like we just like, man, let's just go out there and play hard and just try to have as much fun as we could. And I mean, it got to the championship game. We ended up being the fifth seed, so we snuck a bye. Snuck a bye. We played SMU. We beat them, and then we played the number one seed, Wichita State, and we beat them by one. And we was just like, now we're just in the championship game. Like it was just like we weren't worried about everything that happened. It was just like it was a new season for us, and we just like I said, we just started playing for each other. We just got so much closer as a team, and we end up doing something with that year, regardless of everything that happened. So I can look back on that and be like, man, that showed the resiliency of all of us, you know. So I feel like that was kind of special. I'm not gonna lie.
There is one guy I do want to touch up on that was on that roster, and that's Tari Eason. And I mentioned in the beginning, he went through that situation, and he goes to LSU and becomes a potential lottery pick, guaranteed first round pick in this year's draft now. When you guys were working out together, and I know a lot of people always look at I always thought he was a lot better than what he was ranked. Now, could I say I thought he was going to be a lottery pick? Probably not. I mean, he shocked a lot of people in that sense, but still, he was clearly good enough to at least play, be one of the best players on that team last year, I have to imagine. So, where was he in practice? Like, did you think he was this talented the way we saw him at LSU, or even close to that? Or how good do you think he was when he was there as a freshman?
Yes, Tari. From the first time I seen Tari, I knew he was a pro. Like I knew it. I mean, he's 6'8", can dribble, can shoot, play defense, guard 1 through 5. Like I just knew it. Like I knew it. Like and Tari's my roommate, so we got really close. Like that's one of my other brothers as well. Like I've always had that belief in him. I just knew it. I just knew it. And I mean, at Cincinnati, I mean, you had this kid playing the back of 5. Like he was like Tari is a. I mean, he's positionless, but like he's a wing. He's not no center. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not a traditional center. But that's who he was playing in Cincinnati, and he wasn't allowed to dribble. He wasn't allowed to shoot. He wasn't allowed to do anything he was doing at LSU. And I've been known that it was just an opportunity thing. Like what I was saying earlier, it's all about opportunity. And he got an opportunity to be Tari Eason, and he ended up being what he is now, a lottery pick. And yes, I definitely saw that vision, 100%. I saw it when I was working out with him. Saw him playing against him 1-on-1. I've been knew it. Like I'm not surprised about nothing that's happened for him. Like his life literally changed in 1 year. Like I witnessed it. I talked to him every day. Witnessed it. So it's just like that just really inspired me to be like to just to be thankful that like my guy like Tari can get a different opportunity and really achieve his dreams. And that really made me feel like I can do the same thing, you know? And yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy how much his life changed. And even he don't even really know how to like even process it. He just kind of just going through it. He's just like, I'm just all because of basketball. It's just his work ethic, the belief in himself as well. It's just he always knew he would be an NBA player, and I knew it as well. So I'm not shocked at all.
Well, let's go into after that season. You guys lose to Houston, then you guys go into the whole thing, and coach just lets go. You guys all enter the portal already, anyways. Then it's a reopening the recruitment process for you. You decide, as we know, to come back to Cincinnati. But where were you on like other school? Like, were you seriously considering another school once the coach got let go and we know that new coaching staff came in? Were you kind of saying, okay, I just want to run it back in Cincinnati now? Or what was last offseason like in terms of when you went in the portal that time?
So that last week, I really was liking Wichita State, who was in the same conference as Cincinnati and BYU. So what happened with those two schools was Wichita State. This is crazy. This is actually crazy. So I was actually going to tell the head coach I was going to commit there. That's how much I like Wichita State. But come to find out when I called him, he was going to tell me that they ended up getting another guard, which was my scholarship. And it was kind of crazy because we was in such good we was talking so much. We had good combos and stuff like that. And when he told me that, I'm just like, whoa, like, because I had my mindset on them. I really was gonna go there. It's crazy. And when he said that, it wasn't an option no more. So I was like, okay. And then BYU. And now BYU has never really been a school that I saw myself going to, but throughout the whole recruiting process, they was recruiting me so hard, and the head coach showed so much belief in me that, and then, the whole Utah thing, and I feel like I could have really made my name at BYU. I could have been a program changer because I just feel like they never had a player like me, in their program. So, and that's what they was telling me, and I feel like that was going to be a good fit for me. But the BYU coach kind of ghosted me them last them last couple of weeks going into me making a decision. And then he kind of like came back around when I was close to making a decision. And at that point, I wasn't really comfortable of going back there, knowing like the head coach, did that, so it was kind of like, you know, and at that point, I was just like, I don't even know where I'm going to go because Cincinnati still had yet to make a new hire of a coach. And, they fired him, but then we didn't know who the new head coach was going to be. So I really didn't know where I was going at the end of the decision week, and because to find out, they ended up hiring Coach Wes Miller from UNC Greensboro.
Mm-hmm.
And Coach Miller ended up, when he got the job, he ended up calling me like that night and was kind of just trying to trying to tell me a little bit about himself and stuff. And mind you, we ain't never talked before. He don't know me. I don't know him. So he knew that. And he kind of was just like, man, if there's a way I could just, I'll come drive to your house tomorrow. Like if there's anything I can do to just get in contact with you and talk to you. Cause I seen your game, I seen your film, and I feel like you can be the future of our program. And I feel like you're the type of point guard I need for my team. And like I said, I just had a bad relationship with the last coach. So, my trust is already messed up. Mm-hmm. And it's like this is a new coach that I don't even know. But Coach Miller was ranked the number one coach under 40. Like he has a good resume and all that. And I just said, why not? Because I didn't have no decision anymore at that point. So
yeah,
I ended up coming to my house that next day, and we talked for hours in our living room, and the talk was so good. I ended up committing back to Cincinnati that night before I ended up announcing the next day. Because Coach Miller, he just seemed so genuine. Like he felt like I can be the type of player I know I can be, and he understood my situation, understood everything that happened, and everything was good. I just liked what he was saying. I never had a problem with Cincinnati. I loved the fans. I loved being there. Mm-hmm. It was just the whole coach. Like I just didn't want to play for that coach. So if I feel like that was the right coach, so I ended up signing going back, and that was like an amazing day because all the fan love I got that day and all the support I got from my teammates. I was already there, and I was just so excited to go back to Cincinnati because it was just a great environment for me, and I feel like Coach Miller was the right coach for me. So yep.
Now we're gonna go through the season in a second, but looking back at it, obviously now you moved on. We'll talk about going to the portal again in a second too. But would you say that that was the right move? Like, are you happy with that? And was the coaching situation much better than the first time around?
100%. 100%. I have nothing bad to say about Coach Miller. Mm-hmm. Like him as a person, like nothing. Like we have so many different combos, not only about basketball for just about life. And that's what I appreciate the most about Coach Miller was we had a personal relationship. Like we talked a lot. We watched film together. He was trying to help me learn the game. We just talked so much about basketball, and then he helped with my game a lot, with my pace and really giving me the confidence again to actually shoot the ball. I just had a coach that was telling me not to shoot, like just drive, just be one dimensional for real. And Coach Miller really gave me my confidence back, gave my swag back to be Mike Saunders, and I thank him for that for sure because I definitely this last year there was just a lot of moments where I just showed that I got better, and that's because of Coach Miller letting me be that player, so that, and then my whole mental changed as well. He taught me one of the biggest things I feel like in my life is next play, and next play meaning like regardless of what is going on, like you turn the ball over, you miss a shot, next play, like literally tell yourself that it don't matter, move on. Because you're the only person that's thinking about it. Like, if you really think about it, you're really the only person that thinks about a bad play. And he's already told me from day one, he's a coach, he's not going to complain about turnovers, a bad shot, anything like that. Like, it's just next play. Like, he knows as a basketball player, we're not purposely trying to turn the ball over. We're not purposely trying to miss a shot or take a bad shot. You're just trying to make a play. Like, any aggressive play, like, he has no problem with it. And he never got on me about anything or anybody on the team about it, really, honestly. And that next play mentality thing is helping me with life, because, like, if something happens, I mentally try to tell myself just try to move on from it, like just mentally try to forget about it, because if you do that, you will. And it helped me a lot, because it made me stop worrying about what just happened, worrying about the past, because I just move on from it. You just forget about it, because the only person thinking about it is yourself, literally. And yourself can hold yourself back way more than people think. And once I realized that aspect, then it helped me a lot. So yeah, I thank Coach Miller a lot for a lot of the ways I think about things now.
I know you kind of just opened up on that too, but just to kind of confirm so people know, like, so not you and Coach Miller are still pretty much in good place. Like, you guys are definitely cool and all that still.
Yep, 100%, 100%. We still gonna be in touch for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, if I saw him, I give him a hug. Like, we're always gonna be cool. He ain't never did nothing to me. No ill will against him. He's a good guy. Definitely, and he a good coach too.
Well, let's hop into this season then, because obviously statistically and role wise, it was a lot better. Now, obviously, you did start 10 games your freshman year. This year, you didn't start any, but your minutes, I think, were up, say, 5.5, 6.5 minutes per game more. And you just obviously had a larger role in that team too. So take us through this year, though. You really do embrace that 6-man role. You average 7 points a game over that, 2 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Take us through just this year, embracing a 6-man role on an 18-win team. What was this past year like for yourself?
So honestly, especially at the start of the year, I started off hot. Mm-hmm. Like, we played Illinois in the Kansas City thing, and they was ranked number 10 in the country at the time. Mm-hmm. And I had 20 points. That was my best college game so far, and I just was so confident. Like, I was just so confident, because we just worked on like my pace so much, like being able to go from slow to fast, and working on my off the dribble stuff. Like, I was, going back to that last year, I just wasn't even able to like get in my bag for real, like just be able to show what I can really do, like, and like pull ups and doing stuff like that. Coach Miller just allowed me to do that, like really just play like how I wanted to play. And so throughout, especially early in the year, I was really like hooping. I was really like playing and putting up good numbers off the bench. But then, going into conference play, and this is where I feel like everything changed. January 1st, my minutes started to drop. And I didn't really question it, but my minutes was starting to drop a little bit, and then my minutes started to like stay the same. So what started to happen was it was a set rotation. Like, regardless of if a guy was playing good or bad, you was gonna come out at the same time. So like, I knew I was coming in after every TV timeout. First TV timeout, I'll go in, play from 16 to 12, come out, and then I'll come back in from 8 to 4, and then we'll come out, and then it'll be the same thing the second half. So it started to become really hard for me to get my rhythm. I just feel like that's not a way I really wanted to play. Like, I just feel like if someone got it rolling or if someone's struggling, I feel like there got to be some adjustment as a coach to just make some changes. And it wasn't really no changes being made. And I think that's really what hurt our season, was the fact that we just became just the same team every game. It was the same type of rotation and stuff. And, that it messed up my rhythm, especially starting conference play. And I started to struggle a little bit with my shot. I started going to slump. I was going against scoring like 2 points, stuff like that, and I wasn't really making an impact. And I just think it was because of my role. And but the thing is, though, when I told you about the next play thing, I kind of just figured out like, okay, if I know I'm playing these certain amount of minutes, I know when I'm coming in, I know when I'm coming out. Make the most of when you're in. Like just make the most of what you're in when you're in. Because it wasn't like he wasn't gonna let me play my game. It just was the fact that I wasn't able to really show it enough. Like I wasn't able to play more. It was just the same way every game. It was the same way. So I just was like, make an impact in the minutes you play. Like, so that's what I started to do. And I started to turn the corner. I started to turn the corner toward the end of the year, like the last couple of games. And I started really hooping again. And so I would say this last year, it definitely gave my confidence back as my basketball game, as my game was, because I showed that I'm more than just a fast point guard that can just, get up and down the court and just play defense. Like I show a lot of more offensive versatility. I shot the three. I shot 21% my freshman year. I made 5 threes I made 29 threes this last year. Shot 36%, and that's because of the confidence he put in me in my game. But the whole role thing, I just felt like I just needed a bigger role, and I feel like if I would have had a bigger role like I had early in the year coming off the bench, then I feel like I could have did a lot more, and I feel like I could have proved to him more that I'm better than the minutes I'm showing, because I feel like I was being unfairly judged off the minutes I was playing because of the fact that I just couldn't get a rhythm playing like that. I just couldn't. And the fact that, I didn't start one game this year. Like, you couldn't change nothing up. Like, you couldn't just see what happened if you start me. Like, we went on the whole 7-game losing streak. And I just felt like something needed to change, and, I asked, well, okay, yeah. So after the season ended, we had our meeting, and I was just like, I asked him, he asked me about how the year went and stuff, and I told him same thing I'm telling you. And, I was like, so what about next year? Like, what about my role? Am I going to have a bigger role? And he just was like, probably going to get another point guard on the transfer portal. And, I might have the same role next year, going to my junior year. And it's like, I can't afford that, especially the belief I have in myself. And I know if with a bigger role, I feel like I can change the team. I feel like I can get wins. I feel like so many games we lost, I feel like if I was playing more, we would have won. And I'm just like, when he told me that, and he was just straight up honest with me, because he was like, I don't want you to be back in my office, same time next year. And it's like, yo, coach, what's going on? I thought I got a big role in this, and it wasn't going to happen. And I was just like, okay, I respected his decision, but I know myself, I'm not comfortable with being, in the same position I'm in now. Like, okay, I took a step from my freshman year to sophomore year. Now I want to take a huge step my junior year, because even these last 2 years of college, I still have yet to really be me, like really play to level I know I'm capable of playing at. And I'm tired of just showing flashes of what I can be. And I just want a consistent role. I want to feel like a program needs me to win. Like, I want to feel like I'm a difference maker at all times. Like, I want to be like a guy that has the ball in their hands, and, if they win, it's because of me. If we lose, it's because of me. Like, I want to have that type of role. And I wasn't going to have that role next year. I just wasn't. And I based my decision on what he told me. He was just straight up with me. And that's all I can. Like, I appreciate him for doing that. Like, he did what he didn't lie. He wasn't, he was straight up with me. And it wasn't like he didn't want me to be there. Like, he would love to have me back and stuff. But just the whole not knowing if my role was going to be bigger than what it was, I couldn't settle for that. I just couldn't, So
you obviously enter the portal then, and you go through this process. And so you had a lot of schools in the mix for you. I know you had countless offers and countless interest. I know you talked a little bit before. He said about 40 schools or whatever got at least talked to you. take us through the hectic time period because we know you end up as Utah, but who did the really like the core group come down to? The schools that were offering you that you really were interested in? Who really was in a heavy mix for you?
So obviously Utah, UNLV, Nevada, and Loyola Marymount
Mm-hmm.
was my favorite four because they had that same vision I have myself, like what I told you. They see that vision and they want to help me reach that goal of, being a pro, an NBA player. And they feel like with the role I have in their programs, I can be that. And I just really, really appreciate the coaches for having that vision in me and believing in me that much and seeing through the smoke, seeing through, they saw how, you know, miniature per se my role was, and seeing that if this kid had a bigger role, then he can be special. So I would say don't four schools was what I was down to for real.
So you choose Utah. How did Coach Craig Smith win you over? What was it about him and his program that you said, okay, the other programs are great too, but I'm going to go to Utah?
So I've known Coach Smith since he was at Utah State. And like I told you, I'm big on relationship, you know, especially to this point, this is my third coach now. And people and people are gonna say, people are gonna say maybe I'm not coachable, whatever. And I don't, like I said, I don't be worried about what people gotta say. I end of the day I do what's best for me as a basketball player. Like, 'cause this is my future. This is what I'm trying to do for my life. But yeah, Coach Smith, right? So he was at Utah State. So my junior year, I took a visit to Utah State and I met his office, right? And he believed in me then. He saw me at Wasatch. He saw the type of player, he seen the type of caliber player I can be. And he believed in me then. We had a good meeting then, and I liked his philosophies. I liked what he said, but I just didn't really see myself at Utah State at the time. And crazy thing is, Coach Smith, he was like, ever since that day, he said he always kept the eye on me, even when I was at Wasatch, when I went to Cincinnati, he always kept his eyes on me because he said he had this vision of me being the point guard for his program. Because he feel like his belief in me is just crazy. It's like I never besides like maybe my pops and like Coach Evans and Wasatch, I've never had a coach just speak so highly of me and feel like they can win if they get me. Like they can win if I'm the point guard of their team. So, when I entered the portal, Utah was one of the first schools to reach out and call me after like the first 5 minutes into the portal. And I ended up talking to Coach Smith on the phone. And man, Coach Smith, he was just adamant. Like, if you come here, you will be what you see yourself being. Like, his goal as a coach is to help me achieve my goals, while also me helping him win games and win the Pac-12 and get to the NCAA tournament, And since the first day, I mean, since I talked to him all them years ago, and then talk to him on the phone once again, and just hearing how excited he was, just to even be able to talk to me, it was just like, dang, like he really wants me, like he really believes in me for real, and I appreciate it a lot because I've been through a lot, and that's all I really wanted was a head coach to just feel like I'm that guy. They feel like they can win if I'm the captain of the ship. And Coach Smith, man, Coach Smith, we was talking throughout the whole process, and then so in college the recruiting timeline is something called a dead period, and the dead period is when like coaches can't talk to you, right? So I'm talking about the last day of the dead period. So like the day before the dead period.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Smith earlier that day texted me, was like, is it okay if I fly in at 9:30 tonight to meet with you face to face. And I was like, of course, coach. Like, you're welcome. Like I value what he had to say in Utah a lot to that point. So I was like, no doubt. And Coach Smith ended up literally catching a private jet and flew all the way to Indy and met with me from the time he got here, which he got here at my house at like 9:30 to like 11:45. And the dead period started at 11:59 that night, literally. And that combo was just, man, it's just, you can just feel it. Like, and then dealing with different coaches and going through what I went through, you can just tell like the energy was completely different. Completely different. Like he has the utmost belief in me as a player, how his belief in his development as a coach. Like he feels like he can take me to the next level. I mean, the resume speaks for himself. He wins, and he last year was his first year as the head coach of Utah, and he said he kind of got a feel of how the conference is and what type of players he needs, and he feel like I'm the type of player for his team. He feels like I'm a game changer. I feel like he feels like I can be one of the top guards in the Pac-12. He feels like I can be an all Pac-12 player, not only on offense end, but on the defensive end. He think I could be an all defensive Pac-12 player. Like, just what he was saying is just like, man, he really believes in me, and he's gonna hold me accountable, of course, because I'm the type of player I want to be held accountable. I don't want to be treated differently. I don't want to be okay with being comfortable. I want to be pushed. I want to be challenged, and I just feel like he's going to do all those things, and I just believe in him and he believes in me. And I think the fact that, like I said, he's believed in me since the time he was at Utah State, and now he has the job in Utah, and it's crazy. It's just crazy how things work out, And then it's Utah, it's Salt Lake City, a really nice city, the Jazz play there. Just the whole it's an NBA city, so NBA scouts being like Salt Lake City, and it's just playing. I mean, it's the Pac-12. Like, come on now, like you know who's in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
So just being able to be in that level and playing the teams I'm gonna play, and if I'm the player I know I can be, playing it in that level, sky's the limit. Honestly, like I just feel like I'm gonna really make the most of this opportunity. No doubt. I've been, like I said, I've been through a lot. Even though I'm only I'm 19. Like I got to college when I was 17, so I'm still young, for real. So it's kind of like I just feel like I feel it. I feel it. I feel it. I know this year's gonna be special for me. I just know I'm gonna make that jump. I just know I will. So I'm just glad that Coach Smith feels the same way. He feels the exact same way. So, yep.
Now the roster is still coming together. There's still a lot of moving pieces. I can imagine there's probably a few more transfer portal additions, or at least guys coming back, because there's a few guys that have an option to come back and utilize the extra year. We know for sure Marco's going to be coming back, become a super senior. As far as we know, Brannen's coming back, and he's a big-time player down low. Gabe should be coming back. Raleigh's going to be coming back. You add yourself in that group. Lazar's coming back. Like, there's a few other pieces that's in the mix too. I know they have a freshman coming in too. But from what you see so far, the core group that you're a part of talking to, how special do you think this group can be this season?
I think it can be very special because the shooting around me, I'm the type of player, I'm pass first. I'm always trying to get guys good looks. Like I've never been selfish. Like I'm always getting downhill to make plays. And the fact they got so much space and there's so much shooting around me, I feel like that's gonna make us very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Because I feel like there's no one that can stop me, So and then when I feel like that, and then I have guys that I know are capable of starring in their role, then I just feel like that creates a recipe for a tournament team. And that's what Coach Smith sees. And of course, there's some more pieces in the work. You know what I'm saying? Not a full team yet, but I feel like once the team is established, because I believe, I believe in Coach Smith and I believe in the staff. And then, I believe myself that we're gonna get a strong enough team to where we're gonna try to be one of the top teams in the Pac-12. He's not about losing. He ain't about being third place. No, he's trying to be the number one team in the pack, and I feel like the shape of the team is gonna be special. I really feel so. So
Now, fans are going to be excited about you, but what can you tell them that you'll be bringing to Utah when you get out there and you start playing this season? What can fans expect you to bring to that team?
bring they're gonna know that I'm a leader. They're gonna know that I'm trying to make plays to win every possession. Like I'm not gonna never take a play off. I'm a guy that's not gonna complain when things get hard. Like I'm battle tested. I've been through so much. Like I've said, like I'm appreciative. I'm appreciative of the of basketball now more. Like it's like I just feel like I can I can change the program. I see all the pros that came out of there. I feel like I can be one of the next guys that come out of there, and I just feel like the fans are going to be happy to watch Utah. They're going to be happy to watch the Utes play basketball again. It's going to be fun. We're going to get up and down. We're going to be running and gunning. We're going to sit down on the defensive end. We're just going to it's gonna be different. It's gonna they're gonna feel something that they ain't felt in a little while. I feel like, and I truly 100% believe that for sure. Coach Smith understands the impact of when Utah basketball good, how much support the fans will show. I mean, the fans were. I mean, Coach Smith told me they were second in attendance in the Pac-12 last year, and they weren't even that good. So I think with us winning and stuff, it's just the buzz is just gonna be crazy. And all I'm gonna say is I hope they're ready. I hope they're ready for a change. For sure.
I know that all guys want to be remembered for something. So whenever your career at Utah does come to a conclusion, if that's in 2 more years, if you decide you utilize your extra year of eligibility, make that 3 years, whenever you decide to leave Utah, what do you want to be remembered for what you achieved both on and off the court throughout your career there?
I want to be remembered as a guy that was selfless. Like I'm never gonna put myself before anyone. Like I've always been a guy to make sure everyone is okay. Like make sure everyone on the team is straight. Like everyone is doing good. And then like off the court, I've always been a guy that wants to be in touch with the community. Like help kids. Like I've always been the type to try to sign every autograph, take pictures with anybody that want to take pictures with me. So I'm telling like the Utah fans now, if I'm never going to tell them no. Like I don't care if it's 100 kids. I don't care how long it takes. I've always wanted to make an impact on someone's life because it's bigger than basketball to me. Because basketball is what I do. It's the platform that I'm on. But I want to always make an impact to people off the court because I mean, even at Cincinnati, I felt it. Like I have lifetime fans at Cincy, and I just feel like at Utah, I'm gonna have that same impact because I've always been mindful of everyone. I've never been narrow-minded. I've never been, full of myself. Like I've always been humble. I never look at myself as I'm just this great basketball player. Like I still always am Mike Saunders. I'm still just me. Like I'm just always looking at myself as the same kid from Indy that just loves to play basketball. So I'm never ever gonna treat people different. I'm always gonna be respectful, and I'm always gonna make sure that I always keep the right image, and they'll never have to worry about me being caught up into anything.
Absolutely, man. Well, my final thing for you, give Utah fans your 3 biggest goals that you have set for your Utah career.
Make this a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Be a all first team Pac-12 player, and win a Pac-12 championship. Make the tournament. be a all first team Pac-12 player and win a Pac-12 championship. I feel like them, and then whatever happens after that.
Absolutely, man. Well, Mike, enjoy the rest of your offseason. Congrats on the commitment, man. I'm excited to see what God got next for you, and appreciate taking time to come on today, man.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate you.
Of course, always welcome on, man. God bless.
Yep, you too.